That day, everything was going haywire. You know those days when exhaustion piles up from the very morning and small troubles keep falling one after another? November had fully set in. The sky over the highway was heavy, like lead, and a fine icy drizzle turned the asphalt into a mirror, reflecting only the cold lights of oncoming cars. I was driving home, gripping the steering wheel tightly. My thoughts were on my warm apartment, a hot dinner, and my furry friends waiting for me. But suddenly, on the very outskirts where the city ends and the empty highway begins, my headlights caught something strange. A small, dark spot right at the edge of the road. At first, I thought it was just discarded trash or a piece of a tire, but the spot moved. My heart skipped a beat. I started to brake, feeling the wheels slide slightly on the wet surface. I pulled over to the shoulder and turned on the hazard lights. The headlights cut through the darkness, and I saw her. It was a dog. She didn't try to run away, she didn't bark. She just stood there, head down, trembling so violently it looked like she was about to fall apart. Her fur was matted into clumps, wet and dirty. She didn't just look tired, she looked hopeless. In her eyes, when she looked up at me, there was no fear of humans. There was only a silent plea. Please, make it stop. I got out of the car. The cold air instantly burned my face. Hey, little one, what are you doing here? I whispered. The dog took one uncertain step toward me and froze. In that moment, I had no doubts. I didn't think about the fact that I already had 5 rescues at home, that money for vets was running low, or that there was almost no space left in the house. I simply opened the back door and said, "Jump in," and she jumped, as if she knew that this old car was her last chance. When we arrived home, a real challenge began. My dog's 2 big gentle giants and 3 cats greeted us with a chorus of sounds. The cats arched their backs, and the dogs began to curiously sniff the new guest. I named her Buba. For some reason, that name came to mind first. It felt as soft and cozy as I sensed she was on the inside. The first night was hard. I washed layers of roadside dirt off her. The water in the tub turned black, and underneath it appeared a fragile body where every rib could be counted. Buba stood patiently, allowing me to do everything: lather her up, dry her with a towel, clean her ears. She only occasionally licked my hands, as if trying to thank me for the warm water. The next morning, I took a photo and posted an ad. I wrote, "Looking for the warmest home for Buba. She survived hell on the highway, but hasn't lost her love for people." I convinced myself it was only temporary. "I can't keep her," I told my mom. "It's already crowded. 3 cats, 2 dogs. It's too much." Mom just nodded silently, but I saw a shadow of doubt in her eyes. Days passed. The ad hung on every possible resource. I updated it every morning, but the phone remained silent. No calls, no messages, and Buba. Meanwhile, Buba was becoming a shadow of my soul. She didn't just live with me. She breathed in rhythm with me. When I made breakfast, she sat nearby, watching me with her big brown eyes. When I left for work, she sadly rested her head on her paws by the door. And when I returned, it was an explosion of joy. Our favorite ritual became our trips to the store for sausages. She walked on the leash so proudly, as if we were walking down a red carpet. All the shop assistants in the neighborhood already knew Buba. She became a local star. And at some point I realized I don't want anyone to call about the ad anymore. I just deleted it. Buba stayed. She fit into our pack as if she had always been a part of it. We played in the park, and she slept on my feet, warming them in the evenings. I was happy. I was sure it would be like this forever. That Tuesday started like an ordinary workday. I kissed Buba on her cold nose, poured her some food, and left. If only I had known. When I returned in the evening, I wasn't met by the familiar patter of paws. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. The cats were sitting on the windowsill, and my other 2 dogs looked depressed somehow. Buba was gone. I walked through every room, looked under the beds, checked the balcony empty. My heart started pounding so hard, I thought it would jump out of my chest. I ran out into the street. Darkness, just like on the day of our first meeting, wrapped around everything. I ran around the neighborhood for hours. "Buba, Buba!" I screamed until my throat hurt. I asked neighbors, parking lot guards, teenagers on the playground. No one had seen anything. The next 2 weeks turned into sheer despair. I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside the door sounded like her scratching. I printed hundreds of flyers with her photo. The whole district was plastered with them. I drove to shelters, called volunteers, checked lost pet groups every 10 minutes. But there was no answer. Hope was melting away. With each day, I blamed myself more. Maybe she got scared of a storm? Maybe someone stole her? How will she survive out there on the street again? I felt an emptiness. The same apartment, the same cats and dogs, but without her, everything seemed gray. I began to lose faith in miracles. I had to travel to another city for business for a few days. It was necessary, though I didn't want to go at all. Mom stayed home to look after the animals. She knew how much pain I was in and promised to check the yard every day. I remember that moment in the finest detail. I was driving on the highway, trees flickering past the window, the sun setting behind the horizon. Suddenly, the phone rang. On the screen, Mom. I picked up, expecting to hear the usual "How was the drive?" But instead I heard sobbing. Mom, what happened? Are you okay? I almost let go of the steering wheel. Honey, Mom's voice trembled with tears. She came running. She just came running to the door. Who, Mom? Who? I was shouting, though deep down I already knew the answer. Buba, our Buba is home. Tears instantly veiled my eyes. I pulled over to the shoulder, stopped, and just started to weep. These were tears of such relief that words cannot describe. It was the feeling as if a part of my soul that had been torn out was finally put back in place. As it turned out later, Buba was covered in mud, skinny to the bone, and her paw pads were worn down to blood. Where had she been for these 2 weeks? How did she find her way back, crossing kilometers of an unfamiliar city? There are no logical answers to these questions. There is only one: she wanted to come home. To me. When I returned from the trip and walked through the door, she was waiting for me. She didn't jump like before. She simply walked up, pressed her head against my knees, and whined quietly. I sat on the floor right there in my coat, hugged her, and we sat like that for a very long time. Since then, we are truly inseparable. Buba doesn't leave my side for a second. Now she knows this is her home, and I know that no circumstances, no number of cats or dogs in the house can stand in the way when you meet a soul that is yours. Today, Buba is sleeping on her favorite rug, full and happy. And I look at her and realize sometimes we rescue animals, but in reality, they rescue us. They teach us loyalty that cannot be bought and hope that never dies. We often live in our cocoons, preoccupied with work, loans, and plans. We are afraid of extra problems. But the truth is, every life matters. There is no small or insignificant life. Whether it's a purebred dog or an ordinary street cat with a torn ear, they all feel pain, cold, and loneliness the same way. And they all want to live just as badly. I want to ask you one thing: be kinder. It doesn't cost millions. Don't be afraid to stop when you see a lonely shadow on the roadside. Don't be afraid to spend a minute to feed the hungry. Don't be afraid to take home someone who is needed by no one. Maybe you won't change the whole world by saving one animal. But for that one animal, the world will change forever. And now I want to ask you, have similar stories happened in your life? Have you had to rescue someone when everyone else walked by? Or maybe right now, you're hesitating whether to adopt an animal from a shelter or not. Write your story in the comments. Let's create a space of kindness and inspiration here. I will read every single one of your stories. If this story touched your heart, if you also believe that kindness wins, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Together, we can become the voice for the voiceless. Take care of yourselves and your furry friends. See you soon.